All right, we are live. Welcome to Common Chat with myself, Sherry Solana, and Mr. Brian Fox. Um,
Good morning,
good.
everybody.
Good morning, good morning. And I tell you what, it is a beautiful Sunday morning here in Florida. Just enough for a light jacket, but it is gorgeous, and I'm loving that there's no chemtrails in the sky yet. Which are another thing that can affect our water sources. So today's topic is about our water. What's in your water? And do you know? Do you know the difference between what they do in the companies that bottle water versus the companies that supposedly purify our water system that comes via our homes and plumbing? Brian's got some really interesting topics of conversation when it comes to water. He used to work for a water company that we will not mention the name. We don't want to mention anybody's name or call anybody out because so many people are involved in what's happening with our water today, including what they're putting in the skies and how it is affecting our water systems via the rivers and streams and oceans, lakes, and waterways of all types that get affected. And, it's seen in so many different areas and, so many different things have come and happened. I mean, my God, we've had water systems, or rather water treatment system plants shut down. Because they were infected with E. coli, or what was the most recent? They were in Corpus Christi, Brian. The
They had E. coli actually. It was in the they were finding it in parts of the town, and it was due to, they said, maybe a sprinkler system that breached the actual water line that feeds the houses. It was a nutty process out of nowhere. This summer, everybody was under a boil of water for over a little bit of a week, and
Mm,
we couldn't even brush our teeth. I mean,
right, or shower.
and that's something that we don't ever really prepare ourselves for, whether it's a natural disaster or for, oh my God, we have an E. coli breakout in our water supply. Um, but I know that our city workers do work hard. They do the best that they can in the municipal water system and the wastewater plants. They do what they can, but I mean, some of these things are just out of our hands, and it's time to acknowledge and become more of a aware of what you're actually consuming, what you're bathing in, where your water source is coming from, what they are doing with it. You remember, we still have humans on the other end that are dealing with this, and being educated as far as how your water is being supplied to you, what is in your water, and what they're doing to it to treat it means everything to your health and to just simple things like washing your dishes. I mean, they told us, go ahead and wash your dishes. This is during the water boil this past summer. Go ahead and wash your dishes, but be sure that you spray some sort of bleach sanitation after your dishes are done in the dishwasher, and let it soak for about half an hour after
Wow.
you spray bleach on your dishes, because they didn't want the E. coli to transfer from the plate, from the fork to your body. It was a nutty experience, unexpected, and it happened again where the Naval Air Station here, they have their own wastewater plant and water recyclation process. If I'm saying that right, I'm not,
Recycling.
whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But they still get fed from the city of Corpus Christi, there at the base. But for whatever reason, they had another isolated issue where the base was under a water boil, the rest of the city was not. So it's just some crazy stuff, and I'm glad that we're going to bring this topic up today.
Well, and didn't it like even get well, talked about anyway. I don't know if it was just rumor or conjecture that what you told me, but about how it was even, happening at the military base there.
Yeah, that's what the Naval Air Station. I already referred to that. That's exactly what I'm
Right.
talking about. Yeah, because even though they have their own wastewater plant and their own water fed system, they still get fed from the city of Corpus Christi, and they still had an ongoing issue after the citizens of Corpus Christi were declared safe from the water issue that they were having. And like I said, this is about what, 6 months ago, 5 months ago that this
Mm-hmm.
happened. So it was pretty recent. but you normally don't have these kind of issues unless there was some sort of natural disaster in the area. And then, continuing past that, they were trying an alternate water treatment that did not involve the normal chlorine bleach water treatment that the wastewater plants and the recycled water plants actually use. And they have now gone back to that. And so, during that process, when the E. coli was present in the system, I can tell you that all the water coming out of our toilets, showers, when we're washing dishes, smelt like you were at a public swimming pool. The chlorine was so strong because they're trying to knock out that E. coli.
Right.
And even during the water boil, well, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a scientist. I don't know the effects of it, but just as an casual person, an average person in society, what good is boiling my water when it's loaded with bleach? I mean, what am I getting out of it? I'm
Yeah.
killing bacteria, yes, but what about the chemicals and some of the other things that may be present in the water? And I think, guys, this is something that we need to really seriously look into, become educated by it, and then transfer that to our food. I'm a big guy. I don't eat that much. But, I blame my choice of food as to why I'm like this, and not being educated and watching and being cautious to what it is that I'm consuming and putting in my body. And it means everything. And I'm now 30 years old, and I'm starting to think of these things, and I'm trying to stay cautious to what it is that I'm consuming. And, this is
Hmm.
part of it. So, uh,
And yeah, water's a big part of our diet. I mean, there's even people right now that are doing what we call a water diet, where that's, they're just drinking water all day. They're not really consuming calories. And so it's like, but what are they putting into their bodies? Chemicals. So many things have been found. Even in Arizona, they had a E. coli breakout, and so many kids got sick, and it was all related to the water treatment system. And it was there. Again, you mentioned a natural disaster. There was no natural disaster when that happened for you, and there was no natural disaster when that happened in Arizona. It's happened in so many different places across across the world. Really, water treatment is a big thing. Water is a big thing. Some places are in a drought right now, and there are cities actually in California that do not have water. They have to have water shipped in. Because their water simply has dried up, because they again were living off the water that was going through the river system there, and that just one, it's like a domino effect. I mean, because or rather bring in all kinds of illnesses in those people as well. Because they didn't know at first that the water was even contaminated. And
Well, and that goes back to what we were saying, that educating yourself and understanding what your surroundings are. In my area, Corpus Christi is not a very big tourist attraction city yet. They're working on it. One of the things that we need to remember about Corpus Christi and many other cities along the Gulf Coast and or oceans, period. If you have a port that's within your city, and most of us live near the coast, you got to understand you have some industrial plants in your area that contribute to the contamination process, not just in your water but in your air. And in here
soil.
we are surrounded by oil refineries here in Corpus Christi. Not only that, but now they're bringing in a steel plant, which we already know is going to bring in all sorts of contaminants as well, not just to the soil and environment, but to the air. We have Sherwin Aluminum, and I'm throwing these names out there because these are all easily looked up. It's not like I'm trying to slander them, but they are here. They are present.
Hmm.
Sherwin Aluminum produces aluminum sulfate. They pull the aluminum extract out of the soil. They have it trucked in. It's a very dirty dust, and they say it's not contaminant. It's aluminum. Period. Now, aluminum, that particular alloy, it can be found in your detergent. I use Speed Stick, so it's in there. Look at the ingredients. Aluminum is everywhere. So these things are all over the place, and ultimately going back to what we were talking about, it's in our water. Pharmaceutical. Everybody's making a big deal politically right now in the Democratic and Republican debates about the cost of pharmaceuticals, and they're bringing the highlight and the concerns over addiction of opiates. The pharmaceutical companies gouging in the United States. The citizens of the United States pay more in pharmaceuticals than they do anywhere else in the world. which is alarming and an epidemic in itself. But guess what? You consume those pharmaceuticals, you use the restroom, you flush it through your body, through the wastewater plant. Some of that wastewater gets recycled back into your fresh water, back into your faucet, and don't be fooled by bottled water, guys. Unless you're drinking spring water, by law, by federal law, they have to note on your water bottle where the source of your water is coming from. And unless you're drinking spring water, which is still being affected, you're still drinking city water that's being purified by that water company. And pharmaceuticals are being found in these water supplies. There's no way to get rid of it, and in fact, the best and only way to really drink uncontaminated water is through a distilled process, which means you are drinking water that is vapor, that is collected as a vapor, and then bottled. That's what distilled water is. And that is the cleanest way to drink water from all your contaminants. But even that is not fully protected from the contaminants of pharmaceuticals and other alloys and other toxins that end up in your water supply. So, the reality is we need to get to the root. We see what the problem is. We see what's contaminating our waters. Now we get back to the point of, okay, how do we prevent these things from happening? We need to start moving back more towards a realm of things where we're a little bit more natural with how we live in our lives and drink in our waters. And, shoot, it was just 200 years ago. We didn't have to boil our water out of a stream before we drank it, even considering that maybe a dead animal or some kind of feces or some kind of animal product would be in that water supply. Here in the United States, the water was drinkable. It wasn't all that great tasting because you still got mud and other, material that's floating in the water. But the contaminants has become an epidemic, and it's something that we all need to focus on and get educated and find out how we can combat this.
Right. And especially because not only are there things that are in, like you're saying, the pharmaceutical, from the waste from what we're taking in. And, when you consider not just the pharmaceuticals, but also GMOs, the genetically modified products that we eat today. And I got to tell you, the state of Montana, no GMO is allowed. In other countries, no GMO is allowed, because it does affect us also. And so it also affects our waste that is distributed. People don't even think about, when you go through a water processing, it's all water. Everything that goes through the plumbing system goes into the septic tank, goes into the water treatment, and is separated from there. But it's still going to, be affected in all of your water system. So even bathing, Brian was talking about how to, when that was going through his situation there with the water treatment, had to boil everything. And, just reminded me of the time here, I didn't get the notice that we weren't to use the water. And so that morning I took a shower, and then sure enough, that afternoon I was sick. And it was and then I got the notice, that not to use the water.
And that in itself is alarming. If you are somebody like we are all becoming, we're becoming turned off by media. We're being turned off by news outlets. Not all of us. Obviously, watching the news for a lot of us is addicting. But if it wasn't for the fact that I watch the news for whatever reason, because I'm addicted or whatever, I want to keep up with current events, I wouldn't have known either. We didn't get a notice on our door. We didn't get told by anybody within our city door to door. Nobody was going door to door. Nobody was calling. We didn't get an automated call or a robotic call to our phones to let us know. The only way we knew was through the TV. Not everybody has that luxury, especially here in Corpus Christi. There is no middle class that exists here. Don't let anybody lie to you. I make a middle class income. I live in a very small, expensive apartment because it's either this or go live in a bad area, a bad neighborhood, and putting myself and family in danger. And it's sad, and that's the truth. So there was probably a ton of people within the city limits that was exposed to E. coli without notice, because we weren't being notified properly. They tell us to get our iPhones and wait for natural disaster alerts and all that stuff, but it's not proactive enough. There should have been more alerts being put out. But it was only because we watched the news, and if it wasn't for that, then we would have been relying on our neighbors that may have known something to let us know, and that's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, what's even more crazy to think about is that they still today do things that they know are going to harm our water, and they do it anyway. It's like they'll worry about the cleanup later. And so they'll go ahead and do whatever they think is necessary to be done for whatever reason. Just recently in Colorado, right, Brian? There was a mine clean out. I
Yeah,
guess is what do
it
they
was
call
in
that?
August.
Oh yeah.
Coincidentally, the same time that I had my issue here in Corpus Christi with the E. coli breakout, even though we're in a different part of the country, there was a huge not natural, my bad for saying
Yes.
natural, it was a huge disaster that occurred in Colorado. The Gold King mine was being excavated and inspected by the environmental group, and I forgot the name of them. But anyways, there's an environmental group that is federally, operated, and they were out there supposedly cleaning up this area. And when they did that, they released um, millions of gallons of water in here. I'll read the article here. And a lot of you have heard about it in the news for about an hour. You guys got a dent of what was happening, guys. And the media didn't really, focus on this. August 5th, 2015 of this summer, EPA, that was the name I was looking for. The EPA was conducting an investigation of the Gold King mine near Silverton, Colorado, a mine that has not been in operation. What are they doing there? Okay, why are they messing with it? That's my question. They were there to assess the ongoing water release from the mine. So apparently it had been leaking anyways. To treat the mine water to get the contaminants out of there and assess the feasibility of further mine remediation. So gold has been through the roof the last 5-6 years. So obviously they were wanting to see if maybe they needed to go back in and maybe continue mining out of this mine that was from the late 1800s. EPA was working closely with first responders and local and state officials to ensure the safety of citizens to water contaminated by the spill. The agency has activated its Emergency Operations Center to ensure coordination among its regions, laboratories, and national program offices in Washington, D.C. EPA is closely coordinating with officials in Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and the Southern Tribe and Navajo Nation of Arizona. EPA is taking the lead on efforts to contain the leak and flow from the mine is now controlled. This is a lie, guys. This was not something that happened. When the water was released, first of all, it was more than the millions of gallons that they had spoke of. And second of all, it impacted a poverty nation. The Navajo Nation, Monument Valley, and other tribes that actually utilized the river that was affected by this mine spill and this contaminant that overflowed into the rivers is going to affect the riverbank and that source of water for a very long time. This is going to be lifetimes and lifetimes of a toxic environmental issue. This is not something that was simple. This was not a flush out. They flushed it out of the mine and went into the water system. And yeah, if you go to that river now, it's not orange and crazy looking like my cup of water here that I made as an example of what their water supply may have looked like. And this is probably clean compared to what it actually ended up being. But that river fed through Mexico, fed through South America, and then another disaster similar to what happened in Colorado occurred in South America, hurting the indigenous people that are over there as well. And because it's not hurting you and me directly right here, we're not hearing about it.
Yeah.
And even if we were being affected by it, I guarantee you we probably wouldn't be hearing about it. The bottom line is these people now were already having to boil their waters before this happened. And they don't have the amenities and the resources that they're stripped from. And the bottom line is somebody needs to speak up and step up for these people and everyone that's being affected by this, they are dealing with contaminants that are way beyond my belief. I was burdened for a week because of an E. coli outbreak in my water system here where I live, but I don't have to deal with the mercury and the contaminants that a mine contains to help strip away certain alloys and certain materials to get to the gold so they can have a profit, and they were investigating this thing for a profit. And here they are, I mean, it's a
They
community.
knew.
It's mind-boggling for me, and it frustrates me so much, and it makes my heart cry out because this is a culture, and this is a people that have been going through something that none of us can ever understand.
Hmm.
And this just makes it worse. The life expectancy on a reservation like the Navajo reservation is not great. I mean, you make it to 40 years old, you are an elder.
Hmm.
Making it past that point is not common. The suicide rate is high, and now they're dealing with they can't even use water on their land. They've been stripped from everything else to take the water away. But nobody steps up. Nobody does anything to help, and that's sad.
And most people are like, "What do we do?" But I just love that right before the show you let me know that Erin Brockovich is actually getting herself involved in this, and she is an example, I think, for all of us because she is just someone who didn't know anything other than needed a job, and so started doing what she could, but got so involved with human causes. And that's what we can each do. Get involved in your local, on your local level, and find out, what exactly is going on and what other groups and things may be in your area that are actually proactive, and then start supporting them. If you don't have money, which a lot of us don't, but we have time. We can make phone calls. We can, do whatever we need to do. Spread the word on the internet. However it is that we can do it. We need to be able to put ourselves in that position and want to start doing something. Know that one voice at a time does matter. It's those voices that don't start standing up and speaking out that don't matter, and nobody's going to really care about.
Right, and I'm
Uh,
glad you said that because here I am telling you that nobody's doing anything about it and nobody's saying anything. And we're part of that. Now we're having this show today, and we're talking about it, and this is a public platform which anybody has liberty to watch and listen and maybe feel inspired to do something about it. But I think that's one of the biggest things is we as a people, as a society, have become so dumbed down and numb to the fact that we actually are the power. We look to our leaders, we look to Congress, we look to our senators, we look to these people that we supposedly put in their place to do things for us and to represent us. But the fact is, nobody truly represents us but us. And the fact is that we as a people are the only people that can do things to make things better for us as a society and as a group. And whether that means religious impact or whether that means being able to eat the right foods or have the liberties that we need to have that our forefathers of this country fought for and that our forefathers before them, the indigenous people of this country, had already before they got taken from, and that's one of the things that we always need to remember is where we live, what we do, who we are, what kind of power we truly have, and starting to really understand and educate ourselves on how to live in a pure, free lifestyle that can help benefit your neighbor and your family. And I think that's important to remember. We don't have to accept any of this. We don't have to accept the fact that they're going in and destroying the water supply in Colorado. We don't have to accept it. Could have been prevented. And people are out there. There are societies, there are groups that try to prevent these things from happening. Look at if I'm saying it right, the pipeline that they're trying to do in the First Nations of Canada, crossing back over into the United States. They're trying to use it by the governments from years ago with treaties, yet they're still trying to invade that land and put the pipelines through there without permission of the indigenous tribes that own that land, that actually manage that land and govern that land, yet they're trying to be infiltrated. And here we are dealing with a water supply problem. And it's our responsibility to fix it and do something about it.
And I got to tell you, you got to Google that now because I believe that they have canceled the pipeline. Again, there's, people who stand up.
They have.
That, yeah,
They have prevented it, but the
yeah.
problem is along that, and we always tell people about this. And I know you've been an advocate for this. Is in the media when they make a big deal about something, it's a diversion, right? That pipeline
Hmm.
was a diversion because yeah, one pipeline got diverted while 100 others were being implemented. You
Already in use, already built, already in practice.
Not only
And
practice but also damaging the environment already.
already damaging. Definitely already has leaks, already has issues. So yeah, and again, when you hear about it, it's because they've already been doing it. Which brings me up to another thing that people don't realize is being used in your water system, and that's nanotechnology. Again, look it up because you're going to find out if you were to Google nanotechnologies in treatment of water, then you're going to see nothing but good things listed there. They've actually, are using it to, make the water safer and healthier. And they're using it for all sorts of other applications as well. But not in a huge public service way. Then I want you to Google nanotechnology in military application, because there you're going to find really what they're doing with the nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is really tiny little um, robots, if you will, and they can be in any kind of different shape. We've seen nanotechnology used for little bugs that look like mosquitoes and flies, that can actually fly around and they record wherever they see. Whatever they see, they record, and they also bite and transfer disease that way. Look it up. And they're also using nanotechnology in our water system. Now, the problem with nanotechnology is that it can be programmed to do whatever purpose it is that you want it to do. But there's always the dark side of everything that we've got going on here. We know the polar opposites exist, right? For every negative, there's a positive. So for the negative things that they're using this nanotechnology in is to actually program your complacency, to program you to look the other way. People think that it's all just about energy, but they've taken it to the physical level. And this can be transferred through the water treatment systems. It can be transferred through your food systems. It can even be transferred in clothing that they make. The nanotechnology can be so small. And if you watch I've got it saved in my liked here, my liked videos here on YouTube, but it's about Dr. Stephen Greer, with the complete disclosure of everything that he has discovered over the last 25 years of research in the UFO classifications. But he has found in that that they have actually mentioned the use of energy and nanotechnology. And this nanotechnology and energy can actually emit thoughts. It can actually sway your perspective. A lot of people wonder how can all the things that are going on in the world and people just don't want to have nothing to do with it. I mean, it's all over. You see it all over the place on social media. If you're talking about something positive, and great, and rainbows and butterflies, and everybody wants to get on board. But if you talk about the realities of the things going on this planet, such as nanotechnology, they just you don't even get a like on it. It's like
No,
nobody
you're
wants
right.
to talk about it.
And,
What's
and I'm
that?
guilty of it too. I mean, it's something that you have to consciously decide that you need to become aware of it because it's so easy for me to get preoccupied in my daily routine and in my work. I have my career that I have to worry about. I need to make sure I'm bringing food to the table. My bills are paid. And to actually take the time and acknowledge that there is an existing issue happening, and to become an advocate for something that I believe in, takes an energy that is preoccupied. I have
But
a
it's
preoccupied
fighting.
energy,
Yeah, it's because there's energies that are fighting against you.
right?
Again, that they don't want you to stand up and take a stand and fight for something that you feel is, it's just like with and I use this example all the time because it's been the most recent mass example that I can use, and that was the Wall Street sit-in. I saw that energy being bombarding on these groups of people that tried to start up that movement. and it was disperse and go home, disperse and go home. And everywhere that movement started up, it lasted a couple of days, maybe a week or two, and then what, you don't hear about it no more. It was just over. It was done, dispersed and gone home, because that is the energy play that's being put out there, and they're using it in microwave technology. They're using it. I mean, all these phone, big phone things you see standing all around for the cell phone usage.
Yeah,
They
the
also
cell
have
towers.
yeah, the cell phone towers. They have on them also these small little outputs that put out these radio waves, and microwave technology that allows that to permeate and penetrate through. If you think about a microwave, what does a microwave do? It cooks something from the inside out, right? From the
Right.
inside out, not like an oven that cooks from the outside in, because that's how heat does it. But a microwave does it from the inside out. So when this microwave is blasted at people through laser, through energy, whatever their means is, it permeates you, it penetrates you from the inside, and it gives you all kinds of thoughts and things that otherwise you would not have. It goes against your true natured self. I mean, it's
And the thing
crazy.
I want to stop you on, I want to pause for a second because you're throwing a lot of stuff out there that not a lot of people know, and a lot of people don't understand. And I wanted to stop you for a second because whoever is watching this, and listening to this, it's important to understand that there's a lot of things going on that you would consider a conspiracy theory, and that I would have considered a conspiracy theory, not too long ago. But the research and the data is available for you to look up. So we're not just shooting information out of nowhere. This information isn't just coming from us just because we want to make up a conspiracy. Guys, there's technology that's being implemented all around us, and there's things happening all around us that you need to be aware of.
Yep.
And this goes right back to the water.
Yeah.
I go back to the water because this disaster. I mean, people are bathing and drinking and walking and swimming and enjoying. There's still a tourist attraction around these river systems. Nobody is being warned that this is being contaminated, that this is a problem. And this goes along with exactly what she's talking about, the technologies that are being implemented. These it's so easy to tune this stuff out because you're not educated on it, or you hadn't heard about it before, or that you have heard about it, but you blew it off as a conspiracy. I will tell you this, that no matter what rumor or conspiracy you're hearing, don't blow it off as, oh my gosh, they're just whatever. Look into it.
Oh yeah. That's
Time
what I
and
do. I'm not someone who just speaks out my ass. Okay. I look into things. I research things. I was, again, I've never been anybody who just takes someone's word for it. And I don't ask anybody to just take my word for it. That's why I'm like, Google things. Not look at the videos that I have saved in, my like thing, because it's all about Stephen Greer talking about all these different disclosures on all these different military exercises and applications of things that we eventually get to use, but they've been using for a long time. If you're hearing about it, it's because they've already used it, tested it, put it into action. And it can be a 50-year thing or a 100-year thing before you hear about it, but you'll hear about it eventually.
and
But,
it's one of those things. And going back to the what you're talking about, the nanotechnology. The NFL utilizes a technology that is similar. It's a different type of headpiece that the quarterback is using in his helmet. And have you noticed that the offensive coordinator is actually speaking to the quarterback and giving him his plays? And this is kind of a cool thing because this technology has been around since the 90s that we know about, anyways. If you do your research, what's his name? Ventura. What's that governor's name that goes out?
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura. I love this guy.
I do
This guy
too.
because he's a conspiracy theorist. Okay, if you want to put a
Realist.
title on him, but he's a conspiracy theorist, realist, whatever you want to call him. But he's a conspiracy theorist. He takes a conspiracy theory, he investigates, he looks into it. He had a TV show on there for a little while. I haven't seen it. I guess it got canceled. But one of
Yeah.
the episodes that he watched, and this goes back to the NFL, that the technology that's being implemented, is there is a headpiece that he was actually practicing with, and this goes over harp because he was actually doing a show on harp. And one of the technologies that they're utilizing for mind control, which is a conspiracy theory for most of us, including myself. I don't know how much I truly believe in it, but what I have researched has proven that there is technology in place that can put sounds, think about this, that can implement sounds into your brain wave and into your thoughts, and that may even sound like your own voice in your head. And that's wild to think about. And the NFL uses this. Their headpiece is in their helmet. The earpiece goes behind their ear, not into their ear canal. There's nothing blocking the ear canal in that helmet. You notice the quarterback puts on his helmet, takes off his helmet, puts on his helmet. He's not putting on his helmet and putting in an earpiece, but yet he can hear his offensive coordinator. And how is that possible? Nobody ever stops to think about the technology that's in the earpiece of that quarterback. Now, at times he's having a hard time hearing, which is why they go into a no huddle when they're visiting another stadium and the crowd is loud. But he has to put his hands to his head, to his ears, and push his helmet in, because there is an earpiece behind his ear that connects to a nervous system that's connected to your eardrum that goes into your brain. What you hear translates into energy, and it has an energy kinetic connection within your brain system that consciously allows you to hear and acknowledge and interpret what it is that's being either told to you or what sounds you're hearing, which creates a reality, obviously, because he's being told what play to make, whether he agrees or not. And it's not happening through the ear canal. The technology is there. Nobody knows about that earpiece in the NFL. Nobody really cares to sit there and think about how the quarterback is hearing his offensive coordinator. I'm wearing an earpiece right now, but I have to actually put this bad boy in my ear in order to hear it. So when Mr. Ventura was checking out this technology, they put these what look like the heart monitor suction cups that go on your chest so they can monitor your heart.
Right.
It looked like that, and they put it behind his ear and put it back here and played a CD using this device, and he could hear the music, but the music wasn't coming through his ears. The music was in his head, but it was coming from that CD and from that device. The way he was listening to that music was as if it was a thought, and so, that's pretty wild to think about, that technology is there. So when you do some research on it and you check it out, you guys have to keep an open mind that there's some truth behind all this stuff. You don't have to buy into all the conspiracy theorists and all the crazy theories that are out there, but there are some things that you need to look into that affect your daily life, and that affect you as a civilian, and that affects you as a person of this planet. And it's time for us to acknowledge who we are as people, not to allow ourselves to be enslaved by the system that we're in. And let's step up and do something about it. Let's really start monitoring the tap water that we have. Let's compare it to the bottled water that we're drinking. When you drink tap water in a glass and you look, there's some stuff kind of floating around. This is unfiltered tap water, guys. But you taste it, you can taste the immediate chlorine that's in it. You can taste kind of dirty, how dirty it is, and you can taste that in your tap water. You can tell it's tap water versus bottled water. It tastes clean. This is spring water. It tastes clean. And let me tell you guys something about your water supply. Now, there's many different variables going on with bottled water here. You have your bottled water that's by a major company, pulling water from a natural spring under the earth. And when I worked for this company, they gave me the whole history of how medicinal spring water used to be in the early 1900s. How, there are actual places that you could have gone to in 1915, 1920, where it was a resort, but it was a medicinal resort because of the spring water that was there. The problem with these companies, excuse me, is they are depleting water sources. They're going into rural areas, depleting the underground springs that are there. They take this water tanked back to the plant, the water plant. They strip it from all the minerals that are in there. There's natural minerals that's in spring water that gives it the flavor that it does, and also gives it some medicinal purposes in the right amounts. But they strip all the minerals from it, distill it basically, put it back in water, and add the minerals back to it in a controlled way. So They teach you that spring water is good and better tasting, and it is because it's a natural water that is treated, stripped for the minerals. Minerals are added back to it, but then they're put into a plastic bottle. You can't let this sucker get hot with the water in it because then the different toxins and chemicals that are in the plastic bottle actually start to contaminate the water. Water has an expiration date. Look at it closely. Look at all your bottled water, and check for the expiration date that's on it. Um, it is very hard to see, but this expires, and I can't even show you, but the expiration date's right here. But it's so hard to see, and it was just below the label that I ripped off this thing. It expires May 31st, 2017. Expiration date. Why does water have an expiration date? It's water. It's supposed to be infinity, right? Because of the toxins that the chemicals that are in the plastic. That's why. Um, Bottled water is not always the answer. It tastes better, so it messes with your head, makes you think that, hey, because it has a better taste than the tap water, that it's safer. In reality, if you go get a home filtration system for your water system, you're actually not going to pay as much as you do for bottled water, for one. Two, if it's a fresh filter, especially, and you guys stay on top of your filter when you change it out, you're stripping its contaminants away. There's not a damn thing that these water companies can do about the pharmaceuticals that are contaminating your water. All they can do is distill it, and even that only does so much because contaminants can turn to vapor. Vapor turns into that distilled water process that they're putting into the water system and bottling it. Once it's stripped from any contaminants, it's put into a bottle full of contaminants, and in the right temperature can truly contaminate the water and cause cancer and cause other things that they say have not been proven, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't give it the okay. There's so many different variables that we all need to be cautious to, and it sucks because we're in a society, and then not to fill you with fear, but we have all kinds of issues that are all around us, and it starts with water. We need water for survival. You can go 2 weeks without food. You can only go maybe a day without water. If you're dehydrated, your organs will shut down. If you're contaminated, you will die slowly. And it's just crazy to think about. And when you're in a situation like the Navajo Nation's in, and the indigenous people, where they don't have the resources to protect themselves from the water resource that they have, this is their only choice. We're killing ourselves, and we need to step up and do something about it. And I apologize for going on that rant, but that was
No.
unintended, and this is everything that we need to know. And it goes, and it's linked to everything. It's linked to your GMOs. It's linked to HARP. It's linked to all these different things that are not classified, but they're deemed conspiracy theories.
Right.
And you know what? And unfortunately, it is deemed a conspiracy theory for a reason, because it's not public knowledge. You can look
Well,
into HARP and find out things that the government allows you to read about it, but to know what is truly happening and to know these things bases first on a conspiracy theorist because somebody let that information out that wasn't supposed to, and it causes all kinds of research, and then it leads to assumptions. But this is a part of it. That's a $1 billion industry, $1 billion industry for something that should be free to us, something that
right.
should be managed by us, but
Some
is taken over.
Right. And in some places, I got to tell you, the water is really good because they have not allowed these filtration systems to come in. They work differently. It's like on a well. They tap directly from the springs that run below that these companies haven't gotten to yet. Like when I was in Montana, I constantly drank the water. I didn't even want my green tea, which I normally drink all the time. I wanted that water because it was so good. It was so clear, it was so crisp, right out of the tap. And it was the first place that I'd been, and it was the first place I'd been that I drank tap water. you know, and because it was just so good. And here I filter my water. I take it from the tap and I filter it, and I have it in the container in the refrigerator. And because actually cold water is, it stays clearer, and if you let your water sit for a while, even the tapped water that I filter, if I let it sit out, and it tastes differently. If I keep it cold, it tastes better. Even though they say you're not supposed to drink cold water, it just tastes better. and so I can drink it. I can tolerate it better.
And the cold water, speaking as a former athlete, drinking cold water is a shock to your nervous system. It's a shock to your heart. That's why they say it's bad. But actually, drinking water is good for you as long as you're not shocking your system. If you're overtly hot and you're overheating, the worst thing
Right.
you could do is drink cold water. Drink room temperature water so your body's not working harder to match the temperature, to the water or to your body temp. Either way, it's a conflict. You're supposed to drink room temperature water, but cold water is good because your body actually uses energy to bring that temperature water to your body temperature. It's good for losing weight. If you're not overtly hot, drink cold water and it'll actually help you burn calories, believe it or not.
No, I
Plus,
believe it.
the toxins. But it's just time that everybody starts realizing that what they're drinking out of the water, out of your sink, if you filter it and you go through that process, you are not dealing with a plastic bottle, which you know I was trained and brainwashed not to believe that this is dangerous. I went through some crazy education and I tried to convince people that this is not bad. The reality is it's on the bottle, guys. There's an expiration date. There's an expiration date for water because there's toxins in your bottle that can hurt you. There's an expiration date for a reason. The
Right.
FDA makes the water companies put an expiration date on there because it needs to be pulled off the shelf after a certain amount of time. The
Yeah,
FDA
and
is put there to help protect the people, and they have to do that because they're protecting our asses. And hey, you need to put an
right.
expiration date.
Well,
Also,
which
keep
is
it out of
yeah.
the
Well,
sun.
I was going to say, which is something else we need to talk about because people do. They take their water outside and they're in their plastic bottles and they leave it out in the sun and then they drink it. And they don't realize that they're drinking toxins that are stored in that plastic.
Yep. No, in fact, do an experiment. Do an experiment, and not now because it's winter time. It won't work as well. But take a bottle of water, unopened. Put it in your car in the summer. Let it sit there for a day, just the whole day baking in the sun. Your car is going to hit 180, 190 degrees easy. Let this be exposed to that. Pull this water bottle out of the car the next day. Take a sip, just a sip. I'm not telling you to drink it because it's dangerous. You shouldn't drink it anyways. But take a sip and compare it to a bottle of water that's been sitting in um, your house, or in your refrigerator. You'll notice a huge difference. You will taste the plastic because the plastic had reached a temperature that had become somewhat dangerous and started releasing toxins into the water. So what you're tasting when you taste plastic are those toxins and the contaminants that are within the plastic bottle. There's resins that they have to use to make plastic. It's
It's
not a
oil.
thing. Yeah, it's a resin
No.
oil. It's resin is oil, and that's what they use to make these plastic bottles. And
Exactly.
I'm guilty of it, guys. This isn't here. I didn't buy this for an experiment. I bought it to drink it. I'm contributing to the exact thing that I'm voicing out against, and it's hard because I live in a society that tells you that it's okay. I live in a
Hmm.
society that says it's fine, and I'm participating in it. And then I get torn with, okay, well, 5 months ago I had E. coli present in my water system. What are
Right.
my do's and don'ts? What's okay? What's not okay? And I guess the
Well,
bottom line is in the morale of this whole broadcast is the simple fact that we just need to stay cautious and aware of our environments, do not become relaxed and compliant and complacent with the things that are around you, and stay aware and stay on top. Make better decisions. Should I be drinking bottled water still? Or should I go and get a filter and just stay focused on what's actually coming in? Buy test strips, test your water. Look and see what contaminants are in your water before you
oh,
drink it.
I was going to suggest to do the test strip for the water that you leave in your car,
Yeah,
and then versus the water that you have in your house. Use the
I've
test strips
actually
for that. See the difference in the toxicity.
I didn't think
Hey,
about doing it before this broadcast, but
right.
I have done that before. I've taken those test strips and I've tested just regular bottled water, not water that was exposed to temperature, but just regular bottled water versus my filtered water out of my sink. And the filtered water out of the sink tested better than the bottled water did. And that's wild to think about. So it's
Hmm.
we all need to stay cautious too.
Yeah, because we have no idea, and again, I don't want to say that we're ignorant. I don't like that word, but that word gets needs to be used when we talk about what's really going on in our whole system we've got going around us. You know, we if we are not aware, we are ignorant of the ways. Not saying we're stupid people. We just don't know. If you don't know, how are you going to do anything about it? You know, if you don't talk about it, how are you going to come up with any kind of solutions? You know, that's what we need to do. We need to have resolution and solutions. And so, our suggestion for the water dilemma, for those of you wondering what the solution is to use the filtered systems directly from your tap, pour it into their filtered system, or get a filter system that is directly applied to your plumbing in your home from the main water source. There's also things that you can do energetically, such as the Tesla invention that you can put, you know, this box that emits good energy, and it at the source changes that the energy of the water. You know, I mean, there's been all kinds of water experiments. You know, if you put a bad label on water, that water's going to look more dingy and dirty. If you put a good label on it, it's going to be more crystallized and alive looking. It's true. Energetically, it matters as well. And you know, everyone that is in control of your water system knows about everything you need to know. They know the risk that they're taking by allowing it in the water system, and they do it anyway. So you have to be proactive. You know, you have to be proactive. See what you can do to help your water system, especially in places that do that, like Arizona. They have the osmosis, reverse osmosis system. And I can't even drink that water. That's just nasty. If you're not on a well that's tapped into a direct spring, like we were in Hempstead, which was awesome there too. I gotta say, I remembered that after I said about Montana. But I didn't use filter system at that place because it was on a well, and you know, and the water was awesome, not
Yeah,
dirty. It was
those wells actually have a filtration system you're supposed to keep on
that's right.
top.
Yeah,
And it's at the cap of the well.
right.
But I think that's the bottom line is understanding that what you're drinking in the water, spring water or drinking water or whatever, if it's coming in a bottle, they're, they're doing it too.
Yeah,
All they're doing is they're taking the city water that's already being treated by the city. They are stripping it and purifying it. Reverse osmosis is just a fancy word for filtering.
hmm
Um, they're just filtering the water that you're already going to drink from your tap. It's the same water source. You're going to pay 12 to 25 cents a bottle when you buy it by the pack versus maybe a half a penny for the same amount of water if you pull it out of your cap, and that price includes cost for you to maintain a filter.
right.
So not only are you going to save money, but you're going to be drinking a better quality or same quality of water that you're already drinking from the water bottle. Plus, you don't have to deal with the plastic. There's different ways to consume what you're already consuming, and I'm like I said, I know I'm guilty of it because I buy these bottles of water. And let's not just think about the water. Coke, soda, not just Coke, soda. Anything that's in a plastic bottle, guys, it's plastic bottle. And I can tell you, one of the things that these water companies have done is they have eliminated quite a bit of resin and plastic that simply goes into each one of these bottles. I will say that was one of the things that they told me to teach you when I was working for these companies, was that there's about 30 to 40% less plastic in this bottle compared to a bottle of soda. And you can feel it. You can feel that the quality of this water bottle is flimsy compared to a bottle of soda, which has a really thick bottle. You know, they try to hit you on those health marks that we're using less plastic. Plus, water has zero fat, zero calories, zero sugar. That's one of the things that you need to choose to drink bottled water over bottled soda. But the reality is that particular subject is just get away from plastic. Period. Get away from plastic consumption. Not only that, but this is filling our landfills. It's hurting our environment. More so than you could ever imagine. These things do not biodegrade very easily. It will be in our great-great-grandchildren's lifetime that these actually start to break down and become part of the earth, which it shouldn't become
Oh,
part of
gotcha.
the earth anyways, but it will. And not only that, but they say recycle, recycle, recycle. That's great. Yeah, that helps a little bit, but the problem is recycle these things about one time in its lifetime as a plastic product, because it will be rejected at the recycle bin due to the fact that the resin is coming back as reused. And not only that, not a lot of companies want to use a recycled plastic. They just don't. It's more expensive, it's dirtier, and it's just cheaper and better for them to make new plastic and blow it from a mold rather than using recycled goods. So yeah, recycle. Who the hell is going to use it? There's not too many people that are using recycled products.
No, in fact, there are islands of plastic floating around in the oceans. Did
Yeah.
you know that?
Yep.
Islands of plastic floating around in the ocean. That stuff doesn't ever go away. Yeah, again, we're going to start changing it and moving towards a cleaner environment. It's going to happen. It has to happen, and let's just be a part of it now. Because all the things that they can make with that resin, all the products that oil makes, can be made cleaner and more efficiently with industrial hemp. And so that's one of my predictions for the future. Is industrial hemp is going to become a part of our new economy, because it's going to be used for all different products. There's over 75,000, everything from a home and anything you can put in it, to the cars. In fact, I mention it all the time, but the first car that Henry Ford made was made out of hemp, and it ran on hemp, not oil. Okay, oil didn't come about until the powers that be saw the money that they could make out of that, and that was a controlled way that they could, really control all kinds of things. The water system, your food, your clothing, everything is controlled now by those companies that are manufacturing it, and it's environmentally hurting us, and so we've got to start making difference in what we do, so that those plastics aren't around forever. Another thing I got to bring up, because I know someone's going to say, because I sit here and do the show and I smoke. I smoke, so why am I concerned about what I'm drinking? Well, I smoke organic cigarettes. I don't buy rolled cigarettes. I use organic papers. I use organic filters. And so I'm trying to go green in so many different ways. And I think we all need to start taking that step, and stop buying the bottled water. Stop using the chemical filled products. And there's just so many different ways that we can start making a difference and stop using all the chemicals that are really killing us. Because it's coming at us from so many different ways, from the things that we ingest to the things that are around us to the things that we wear. There are people who are allergic to cotton. They cannot wear cotton. There's people allergic to air. There's people who's allergic to water. It's very rare, but it's happening. And why is it happening? Because it's environmental. More cancers and all kinds of other things have happened because of the way that the products are being made, and the destructive distortion that it really causes energetically. It's just so much. There's so much more involved. People just they don't look at it. Again, you're programmed not to.
Yeah, that brings it right back to the point, and that I'm pretty sure that's going to end our program. It's the morale and the ethical message here, for anybody that took the time to listen to us, and thank you for that. Is that you're not just a person in society that has to be susceptible to the things that are around you. You don't have to accept anything that's given to you. You can absolutely be a voice. You could be a footstep in the right direction. You can be the exact thing you need to be to help benefit not only yourself, but the people around you. Let's not forget that we are brothers and sisters on this planet. Each of us affect the other person with every footstep that we make. With every decision and every thought that we have, we affect everyone around us. We are all universally connected. We impact each other in more ways than we could ever imagine. And I think that is the most important message out there. So what can you do? Change your thoughts. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my thoughts. I'm going to stop buying this. I'm going to try to stop buying this. I'm going to try to invest into a filter system. I want to drink cleaner water. I want to be healthy. I want to grow my own food. I want to know what I'm eating. I want to be able to contribute to society in a productive way, and not just by going to work every day, not just by paying my bills, not just by supporting an economy, but supporting a lifestyle. We need to go back and relearn the history and history and history and history. Humans have not only been around for 2,000 years, folks. We've been around for eons. We have had failures. We have repeated failures. We had failures and almost went extinct, came back. rebuilt the civilizations we were extinct from, and now we are headed down that same direction. We are upon a collapse. It's going to be up to us to know what to do upon that collapse and whether we're going to turn that into a negative or a positive. Are we going to repeat history as we tend to do, whether it's on this planet or another? Are we going to make decisions that can help benefit us as brothers and sisters? And when I say brothers and sisters, I don't mean just to humans, but I just mean to the animal kingdom, to the plants, to the earth. The planet is a breathing, living soul, and you are a part of it. You are her child. You are God's child of the universe. You are a part of something huge. And, you zoom out of the spectrum of things and you look at our planet from an outside source, you can see effects of man, but you can't see man walking. We are important. We are the cells within a body that can either create or extinguish cancers. We can either be a problem or the solution to the problem. We cannot become benign. We cannot become stagnant. Let's do something about our environment. Let's do something about our community. Let's do something about becoming one and together again. And I think that's the bottom line message here, whether it's water, food, spirituality, anything, all the above. It's about humanity. It's about acknowledging who we are on this planet today. Who am I? I'm not just Brian. I am a member of Earth. I am a member of humanity. I'm a member of the universe. What am I going to do? Am I just going to be a member, or am I going to contribute and help build a positive environment around me? And I think that's the important thing here. And that's what we all need to become aware and wake up to, and not just contribute to my own selfish needs, but I need to help the person next to me, help them grow, and not tell them what direction to go in, just give them the seeds that they need to help grow and help. Hopefully they'll pot off on other seeds and help the people around them. And hopefully that will spread and become the thing that we need to become. So, I mean, I think that's the important message here.
That is the important message, that we can be part of the solution, not just the consumers, but part of the solution. And, it has to happen. We have to change things because our children's children are going to be here. So we have to, prepare the way for them and start doing what's right, and that goes in every aspect of your life. We can go on and talk about all the different ways, but for the first part, the one thing that you can do today is change your perspective on what you're taking into your body and how your intention towards that property can heal. Along with Brian is saying, we have the ability. We just have to realize it. The knowledge is there. We just have to be accepting of it. And don't let fear, don't let fear motivate you in anything, because then you just make stupid decisions. And so, but I tell you what, every time we have these conversations, I love it because it just, again, it brings it to light. We need to be able to talk about things. That's why we call the show Common Chat, because everyone is chatting. That's the common chat part of it. But let's have some common sense in that chat, and stop just talking about the problems. But then let's just dig deeper and find out what it is that we can do to be a part of the solution. And that goes for so many different things that are happening on this planet, that if we just realized how strong we were, and when we come together in that intention and that belief, how much we can actually accomplish. That's where we need to get, that we have that confidence that we are more than, we are more than, right? We need to be more than in our thoughts all the time. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and let y'all go, but please subscribe to our channel, like our shows, leave comments if you're so moved to, and certainly share us on social medias, so that we can all start having those conversations and bring that common chat into that common sense, and really just motivate ourselves to improve for the future. And here goes a plane going overhead. Can you hear it?
Absolutely. So remember to hit subscribe today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Salona0156. You can also participate in Google Hangouts. Remember that every like goes a long way. Spread the word. Not only that, guys, but give us a topic. We're going off of topics that we see in media and problems that we are aware of. But this is common chat, not just between myself and Salona, but between all of us. And if you have a topic that you want to bring to the table, if you have something that's important to you that we need to talk about or bring to light, remember to give us those suggestions. We want to talk about the things that are important to all of us. And at that, thank you for having me. I look forward to next Sunday and hope to see more people participate and join us in these conversations. I know it's early in the morning, but hey,
Yeah. That's
get
the
up.
best time to talk. More people are awake.
Right.
So let's do that. And real quick, I just want to mention that you can come over and like us on Facebook because we have a group called Paranormal Psychic Network. If you come over there and you like us, or even just like me or Brian, then you can get links to come into the live chat room that we have going on Google Hangouts. We have the link that you can go and view on YouTube, and we appreciate everyone going over there and viewing. We actually get the viewer count that we see you there, but we don't get to chat with you. Because we are over in our Google Hangout where we do our recording. So be sure and like us over there on Facebook so you can get that link to come and join us in the live chat. And you can come on air with us directly and join in the conversation and, let people know that we're not the only ones that are thinking like this. We know we're not. So come talk with us. All right. So we're going to say goodbye. Goodbye, and we'll see you. Yep, see you later. See y'all next Sunday. Thanks again for joining us, and be sure and come back next Sunday. Bring your coffee. Enjoy the conversation. Okay, bye bye.